Capital One is a fantastic organisation. They're currently investing a hell of a lot of money and of their investment in great design and actually making a difference in the banking sector. So it's a real privilege to be working for them at the moment. So we're doing some really, really good things, some of which you've yet to see, but they're in the pipeline. But I can show you a few things that we're trying internally to make developing those things much easier. And that's going to be the gut of the talk, basically, is how we can use not only fantastic insights around your customers, but how you harness your wonderful internal stakeholders as well to get to the best result. So I'm going to show you a few things around that. I'll give you a whistle-stop tour about who we are at the moment. So as Susan said, we're based in, primarily our head office is in Nottingham, right by the station. So anyone who wants to come and have a look around, we're very open. You can come and have a look at the facilities and the lab and everything else that we have. Half the team is based in London as well, so we're split across 2 locations. There's the bunch of drunkards that we have as a team. On a night out, we're very sociable, very open kind of people and team. So like I said, if you want to come and see what we do and speak to us more, we're very open to that. I think what's great about working within such a big team, we're around about 40 people now. I'm previously from an agency background back in Manchester. And as any agency will find, you expect your staff to be kind of very chameleon-like and you spread yourself quite thinly. I think I'm finding it a wonderful experience because there's actual money to spread across the team in lots of different disciplines. So this is how we structure the team at the moment. So we have lots of different people within their different specialisms, which allows you to work at a lot of depth. So it's really, really interesting at the moment that we're bolstering our team in so many different areas. So we've got a UX portion, we have a design strategist area, researchers, content strategists, visual designers, and design producers. So we have a lot of different people in different specialisms, so it's wonderful to be able to relax a little and develop your own specialisms. So I'm quite enjoying that. I'm not quite as exhausted as I usually am. The office isn't too bad either. We've got the most hipster thing in the universe in the London office as well. We've got a running track on the roof. Not that I've ever been on it, but I've watched people run around it, and it only takes about 30 seconds to get around the entire building, which is ridiculous, but so hipster. But it's not all great. I'll tell you about our struggle at the moment. And it's really hard being within a big organisation like Capital One. I think trying to push design forward within a company that's been around for some time is very difficult, and trying to establish yourself and your discipline within that company in a regulatory environment, which is pretty harsh as well. Of course, it's the financial sector, so the hoops you have to go through to make sure that your designs are very compliant and accessible are quite rigorous. But this is probably the hardest thing. When we're working through designs and concepts, we have to work with such a myriad of different types of people. So internally, we've got lots of varying kind of people, such as product managers, the brand team, of course, legal and compliance, development teams, technical program managers, a whole host of people that you have to involve in that design process. But also, luckily, we get access to a lot of our customers as well. In the Nottingham base, we have over 450 people work in the call centre, so we can actually go and listen to customers. But that's only half the battle. I would say, and this really shocked us as well, we were brave enough. When we first started, probably about a year and a half ago, we thought we were the bee's knees. We thought, we're great, you know, we're at the very vanguard and cutting edge of creativity and innovation. Let's ask Capital One and the people that we've been working with what they think of us. And we were shocked to hear negative feedback from some of them. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but this really contributed to our evolution in terms of how we develop our processes. So we heard things back from people like, design is an activity that occurs over there in a black box. Design, we only get taken along part of the process, then we're dropped, and it feels very demoralizing. And then we were trying to involve people in that design process, so I actually felt quite nervous about being involved in it. You know, they didn't want to sketch things out, and they didn't want to talk and vocalize their feelings. So this really got us thinking, right, we need to really have a good look at our processes. We might be this funky new young team that does UX and all this amazing stuff, but we've really got to think hard about how we work with our people and make that really effective. So, inclusive design process. The way I'm going to talk about it today is that really beautiful sweet spot in between where you have really good customer engagement and customer empathy, where you're involving the customers and doing all that good stuff about testing and so forth and using customers. But it's also thinking about all the different types of people that you have to engage with from a design perspective within a larger company. And a lot of those have never embarked on a design process before, so sometimes it's quite scary and quite daunting for these other people, so you have to cater for that. So what I'm going to show, so I asked my team to give me probably the 5 most influential and successful things that they've done over the last 6 months that have really helped that process. And what we'll do, any template that you see here, we'll take the branding off and you can actually have it. So if you want to link with me or whoever, we will supply these templates if you want to start using it in your own processes. So we've purposely made this really practical. And some of them are quite basic, and you might be using them already, but it's worth highlighting the fact that these are the ones that have been the most successful and people have liked them. So, start as you mean to go on. Now this was a really interesting one. We tackle a lot of projects at Capital One, a hell of a lot. But we always got involved from a design perspective at different points in that process. And we found the later that we were engaged and were involved in the project, the less design-orientated it was and the more tactical and less strategic it was. So we engaged the company to devise what we called a project canvas, which is a really, really simple canvas, which is like this. So we've got lots of these pads dotted around the company, which allow people to create collaborative early sessions to start to talk about the constituent parts of that early project intent. And this is a really simple canvas. So it can be an A3 pad if the initial meeting is quite small. If the initial meeting is quite large, we draw it out on a wall. So we make use of the kind of wall space in meeting rooms. And it's a really simple thing, but it's had such a fundamental difference in how we start projects because it feels very collaborative at a very early stage. And we always insist when we start a piece of intent that lots of people are involved in that process. So what the canvas is bisected into 5 sections. So the top left is what it is and what we're trying to achieve with that particular project. The bottom portion here is who needs to be involved. So who are those internal stakeholders? Who are those people internally that we need to get involved? At the top there, who are we targeting? So is there any information around the segment of customer that we're targeting? These central portions, this one is all about what is the opportunity and what does success look like so we can track it and measure the impact. And over the far right-hand side are what are our initial assumptions around the timings and limitations of the platform and what we're trying to achieve. And this is it. And it's a really, really simple thing. It's a piece of classic lean UX that we always use to start intensive projects with. But the most important thing is that you do this with the stakeholders that you think are going to be important right at the start of the project. So we never do it with 1 or 2 people. We always get 4 or 5 people involved in this initial process because it gets all those initial assumptions out from people. But also within the financial sector, there are lots of acronyms, so it allows you at the very first moment to ask those quite dumb questions. I mean, I'm still getting to know all the acronyms from a financial perspective, so I use this a lot to ask what are considered fairly dumb questions, but it's fine at this stage of the project. It would be terrible halfway through, but at the beginning, it's fine. So the canvas is great. We use this all the time at the moment, and it's a really successful piece of architecture. This is really important as well. So at Capital One, whenever we tend to embark on a really big design project, a lot of the time we're starting from something that already exists. And sometimes it's pretty crap, to be honest. Sometimes it's very dull and it's not working. So we wanted to find a way of reviewing the things that we already have in market really successfully, but again with a wider group of people in a way that was kind of non-design, in non-design terms that was very accessible and approachable. So we do this a lot. So it's called a group heuristic review. So what we'll do, we'll look at a specific kind of end-to-end process, but we'll develop a series of what we call heuristics. And this is just, it's like an expert review, but based on our customer attributes and customer profiles. So we get some information around our customer profiles and some basic kind of usability guidelines as well. And these are the criteria that we sit and review all the kind of Capital One end-to-end processes using. So we'll sit with our extended group of people, and we'll run through that end-to-end process based on each of these sets of criteria. And as we go through each of them, we'll use those post-it notes as we go. And what this really, really helps us do is instead of getting loads of subjective feedback on an end-to-end flow, This encourages us to look at the flow from a user's perspective. So all these are based on what we know about existing customers. So we have a customer base at the top there. So do I understand what you say? So we run through looking at a flow using all of these different criteria. And it's really, really helped us. So if you do have information about your customers, you can develop similar kind of what we call heuristics or questions that you can use to analyze that particular flow. And this really, really helps us get lots of non-subjective feedback from people. And at the end of it, we kind of prioritize what those bits of feedback were. So I like this picture because it's people actually enjoying a workshop, which I think is brilliant. So we get lots of people involved and people enjoy the workshop, and it allows them to feedback on the flow based on kind of non-design terms. It's more about the actual customer itself. So we really, really get lots of value from that. Develop ideas together. So we call these ideation workshops, but all this is trying to get as many people together to develop a volume of ideas on a specific theme. So we call them ideation workshops, but it's a fancy name for a group idea session, effectively. But we've done a lot of these, and we've kind of fine-tuned it over the months and years to kind of get to a situation where we think we're pretty good at these. So, and what we found within a large organization, people's time is very precious. So when you get them together, and you don't have a really clear objective, and you're not sure what you're doing, and there's not very clear outcomes, it really pisses people off. And within Capital One, we have a horrendous meeting culture as well. So we have to be really, really firm with people's time to make sure we're getting the best out of people. So before we enter into an ideation session, we always meet with the people that are going to be involved in the idea session to develop a really clear hypothesis in terms of what we're going to try and tackle within that workshop. And this is the kind of structure, the typical kind of hypothesis structure that we tend to use before a session. And we get everyone to agree on this is what we're trying to go for within this ideation session, and everybody agrees on that. And if you do this, what tends to happen is you don't go too wide as well. So what we don't want to do in ideation is develop 10,000 ideas that aren't realistic. So we want to go into the ideation session with a really clear view of what we're trying to do within the idea session, so everyone's really focused. And this is an example of something that we did quite recently. This was for a new product called Starter Card, which is in market at the moment. So a typical hypothesis, so we believe that giving customers clearer regular checkpoints in the starter card journey will increase the graduation success. So a really, really pointed hypothesis that helps people unite around a common theme. If you don't do this, you just go too wide, and it just pisses people off, and it's just not as focused. So do a little bit of this before your actual idea session with the group that's going to be involved in it. Invite a diverse group of people, and this is really important as well. We're really lucky at Capital One because we can invite people who actually speak to customers a lot, so we get them involved in these sessions. So typically, it's just a small selection of people, an engineering lead, a call agent, a product owner, an engineer, operations, a project manager. Women are involved in this session. I don't know why it's all men. Women can be involved in the project. I'll get really told off about this by our inclusion people, but for some reason, I'll get a different picture next time, I promise. But the point is, get a really diverse group of people together, even if... even if, well, most importantly, people who have direct contact with your customers, that's the most important thing. Because often they're the people who have the most energy and the most diverse ideas. It's a really, really important factor. Try and get people that have engaged with your customers. And get a spread of people that will surprise you as well. And anyone and everyone, to try and get them involved in that volume stage of ideas. It's really important. This is an interesting one. We try and invite a really diverse group of people because we get lots of different ideas, and that's really important to us. But we try and put them at ease before they come in. What we found is, particularly the call center people sometimes have never been involved in the design process before, and subsequently they're quite nervous. And they freeze, and they don't draw anything. So we have to find ways of making them feel relaxed and interested and engaged in the process. So we tend to do a couple of things. Before they arrive, we get people to do a little bit of homework, and we always ask people to go really wide in that homework as well. So we were getting people to think of a way of getting people to engage over time with the products. So we asked people to go really, really wide with it, and people brought in Domino's and KFC. It probably tells you a lot about our health and our appetite and what we're into. But this was a really, really important thing because it helped people engage with something that they were comfortable with engaging with. When people came into the sessions, people had something to talk about immediately because they'd done a little bit of homework. So when we ask people to come in and tackle a challenge, we always ask people to do a little bit of homework because it makes them feel comfortable and it gives them immediately something to talk about. And we get lots of different ideas as well. This is a funny one. So we always get, at the start of ideation sessions, we get people to do something called 30 circles. So we give them 3 minutes to complete as many circles as they possibly can with recognizable objects. And what this does, it gets people comfortable using a pencil, sketching ideas down. And we get some quite risque things coming out in the circles, I must admit. But it's a funny thing to do with people, and we always get lots of engagement with it. But it loosens people up and makes people interested in the session. And if you don't do this, people tend to clam up and they don't sketch as well. So we want people sketching and feeling comfortable with that. But you always get people cheating. There's always a fun spoiler. So this guy got around it by sketching all his emojis in it. It's like, for God's sake, have a bit of fun, relax. But it's a wonderful technique, and I would suggest doing that if you're engaging people who aren't very comfortable with sketching and haven't been involved in that design process a lot. We use to get a volume of ideas together, we use a process called Crazy Eights. It isn't that crazy, though. I'd maintain your expectations. Based on the themes that we want to explore ideas for, in terms of generating a volume of ideas, all we do is get A1 sheets, fold them into 8 segments, and give people a 10-minute time slot for them to sketch as many ideas in each of those segments as they possibly can. And if they're feeling free and they've done all those exercises before, people really get stuck into this. So this generates a massive volume of ideas that we can then prioritize together. So at the end of the session, we get everybody giving us their ideas, and then we'll do some degree of what we call dot tasking of those ideas at the end of it. So we'll give people, I don't know, four stars to dot the ones that they think are the most important, or the ideas that are worth taking forward. And this is where the debate gets quite heated, but it's always a positive thing. So that's ideation. Another couple of things that we've found really, really useful, are something called InVision Freehand. We've got masses of value from this because we're a cross-located team across Nottingham and London. We've had to find lots of tools that help us communicate and collaborate across location. This one's wonderful. If anyone's used it, I would thoroughly recommend it if you've got a co-located team. So this allows you to view the same screen, but you can see people's cursors move. You can, each at different locations, you can add notes. You can see what other people are looking at and zooming in at. We found masses of value in this, and InVision at the moment are a really innovative company who are making it really easy for teams to collaborate. But I know the design system work they're looking at the moment is really, really impressive. One last thing, a really important one as well, is we've got the luxury of a really incredible testing lab at Capital One down in London, which we built ourselves, and it's amazing. But most importantly, you can fit 13 people in it, because we knew the power of getting people to come and watch this testing would be huge, and we're really feeling the benefit of that. So if you do have the opportunity to do any testing on your products, make sure you invite your customers and anyone involved in that design process along to watch it, because we found that's had a massively transformative effect on how design is viewed and embedded within our company. So we've had huge results from this. And in summary, design with people and not for people. I think that's the key. If you involve your stakeholders in the processes as early as you possibly can, and you get involved in that process as well, it will have huge benefits. That's it. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Thank you.